All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, the podcast today. How's everybody doing on this June 7th? I haven't muted you yet, so let's hear you this morning. How's everybody doing?
Good morning, Rick.
Morning, Ray.
Good morning, Rod. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to, how about this? We're into June. A couple weeks, 3 weeks, it'll be, halfway done this year. All right, isn't that crazy? All right, well, hold on one second here. Let me get through this really quick here. Let's see here. All right, we were very fortunate today. Tom, if you could unmute, just hit *6 on your phone, and then we can hear you. Let me know when you've done that, please.
How's that?
There we go. There we go, Tom. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the desert of California, we have Mr. Tom Hurd. Tom, welcome to the call, my man.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, you are highly recommended by you-know-who, Gina. So there you go. All right. So tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been in the business, and give us a little rundown about yourself, please.
Okay. Well, I've been in the business 6.5 years. After my story would be after 13 years of divisional and corporate advertising and marketing roles, I decided to start my own consulting firm. It was an executive search, recruiting, headhunting business, and that lasted 33 years.
Holy cow.
33 years. I took early retirement after that, and I traveled and painted and golfed. And when I realized that I couldn't play golf every day, or didn't want to play golf every day, I needed something else to fill my day, and it was real estate. I answered an ad, a Tarbell ad, and the rest is history. And I even passed the test.
You did? That's great.
Yeah, twice.
Good for you. Good for you. So, Tarbell was such a great situation for us and for hopefully everybody as well. That was such a great acquisition, whatever you want to call it, for the company. It's been about 2 years now, too, and everything seems to be running smooth, right?
So far,
so tell us.
Well, for me.
All right, so, I guess there's a lot of similarities, right, between prospecting to find people to help them find better jobs and to prospect and talk to people about listing and selling homes, right?
I was very surprised at the ease of and the transition. It was something that I found to be very, very, very similar. A lot of it's customer service oriented. It's thinking outside the box, if you will, being creative in your efforts to identify and attract people for your client base.
That's awesome. So do you have a little, what is your breakdown about, where does most of your business come from?
Most of my business is, it's single family. It's here in the desert. For the most part, it's here in Palm Desert. I live in Sun City, Palm Desert, and have developed a pretty good base here, but also in La Quinta and Rancho Mirage is a base. But most of it is here within a 5,000 home community in which I live.
Awesome. Now I'm gonna have to mention something because it's been on my mind ever since you've said it. You can't play golf every day. Tell us a little about that.
Well, physically, I guess I could, but from an interest level, after you finish a round of golf, what are you going to do? So you can't hash it over the good shots and the bad shots every day. So I just enjoyed golf, but as I said, I needed something else to fill my days where I wasn't playing, and real estate certainly filled that spot.
Yeah, it's such a true thing. I decided 2003 I was going to take a year off, and I had saved some, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a leave. I couldn't even I was about a month and a half into it, and I was like, nope, can't do that. And because when you're playing golf and you have time off, right, it's so much better when you have a purpose when you have time on, right?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
I think a lot of people, like when I was younger, I couldn't wait to retire. And then as I got a little older, I was like, why the hell would I ever retire? Especially since I did that little exercise, right?
Right. Well, and if I stayed around the house, my wife would drive her crazy. So I have to get out and do something. No question.
That's great. All right. And you have some beautiful golf courses there too.
Yes, we do.
All right. right. So what have you? So coming from a business like you are, I love talking with people that have been in other businesses, because I think when people have been in other businesses and have overhead, advertising costs, and so forth. I mean, when you strut into real estate with almost no overhead, it's a pretty sweet business opportunity, isn't it?
Right. It was very much so. There's a little upfront cost, but beyond that, you were rewarded for how hard you worked and the results you had.
Right. It's kind of like anything else, right?
Right. It's called a commission check, as I recall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right. So, do you have a decent sized sphere? Do you do social media? Do you do expires? How do you do your business?
Mainly, it's with the client base that I've established. I do some farming here in a few of the districts. I don't do social media. I don't do advertising. It's just something that I've been able to develop a client base that has given me a lot of repeat business and a lot of referrals. So that's all I really, at this point in my career, that's really all I need to do. If I were 30 years younger, I'd be out doing what all the people in our office that are that age are doing and being very successful.
Right. You'd have your own YouTube channel and doing all that good stuff. Maybe some TikTok videos.
Right.
Yeah, I laugh because I'm on TikTok, and I was one of the biggest holdouts with social media, but I eventually caved, and I even have a TikTok account now, and there are some of the most entertaining videos. So, all right, so your sphere, what size is it, and how do you maintain it?
My district farm is 420 people.
Okay.
I send out monthly to quarterly reminders of what's going on in the marketplace, what I've done. A lot of it is creative work that's seasonal, whether it be a Christmas thing or a Dog Days of Summer or something like that. And I get responses from it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I love it. And so that's, how many you say, 400 and something? And when you say district, what do you mean exactly by that?
Well, in the Sun City Palm Desert, there are 15 districts, 5,000 people. And I happen to farm and live in District 12. And so District 12 has 420 people in it. And that's my target.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. That's great. So that's one of your, so it's like a people farm. Are they all, they're not all in the same location, or are they in the same location?
Yeah, they're well, either they're living here year round or they're seasonal, but yeah, it's within a geographic location. Yes. Oh,
cool. All right, good. So it kind of covers. No, that's great. That's great. So that's your farming activity. Does that also include your sphere, or is that something you consider separate?
Yes. Well, no. My sphere is beyond that, but no, as I say, it's my sphere is up and down the coast. I've got a lot of clients out of the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. But again, repeat business is the business that I found to be very similar to the executive search business, in that if you do a good job the first time, you're going to get the next assignment. And that's I also believe that one of the things that's made me successful is the concept of service after the sale, because that's critical, and to me anyhow. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from clients that have said that sets me apart from some of the other people they've dealt with. So it's encouraging.
Yeah, especially with the business that you came from too. So that's the thing. You see, a lot of people, if you have that mentality of the customer first, I mean, that's what let's face it, that's what our fiduciary responsibility says anyway, right? And if you actually follow that golden rule, it really pays over and over. And then keep in touch with them like you're doing.
Right.
So is your primary source mailing or emailing, or a combination of both, or do you make some phone calls too?
Oh, I'm on the phone all the time, and emailing and mailing, and keep bringing people up to speed on what's going on in the market, especially those people who aren't geographically here in my farm area.
Okay, cool. So you keep them. So your way of doing it is almost like a neighborhood report type thing. You keep them abreast as to what's going on in the market, updates, informational.
Right. Yep.
Okay, cool. And so you got 400 and something in your farm. How many people would you have in your sphere, just so they get an idea of your number of people you're working with?
I'd probably say 600 total.
Okay, so right around 1,000. And see, that's the number I use with my success series too, is 1,000 people, and then if you get a decent return on 1,000 people, that's a really good year, right?
Well, yeah, and when you're my age, you get to know a lot more people.
Right. The longer you've been doing it, yeah. Cool. So, okay, and you said you've been in the business how long now?
6.5 years.
Yeah, that's the perfect. That's when things really start to mushroom out, if you've been working with the same people over and over and doing an incredible job. So great stuff. So what else would you want to tell them about how you do your business that you think would be valuable for them to learn from?
As far as other agents, you mean?
Yeah, other agents on the call. Like I said, you do your sphere, you have a farm. Is there anything else you think they should know about how you do your business?
Well, yes. One of the key things that I've been able to benefit from some associates is to learn the other side of the sale. It's the complex statistical and technical requirements that are necessary to complete the transaction. That's what the transaction coordinator's role is, and I have to admit, as a non-techie, I am not the swiftest in that area, so I rely quite heavily on people such as Gina and D-Dial and others that know how to do this side of the business. When I was in the search business, I never had this need for the technical expertise, but nowadays you certainly do. And in this business, the real estate business, I think that's key. Also, I would recommend coming from the search business again as a comparison, ask open-ended questions and then listen to the answers. Yes or no questions will really limit feedback. And I think the key thing is, at least in my experience, has been to know your market and do the research. So you're the expert in the field. And as I said before, service after the sale has really been benefiting me. So I suggest that's something that someone might want to think about after they've closed a transaction.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And NAR tells us that 78% of agents never talk to their client after the closing. Really? Wow. 78%. Yeah. Yep. And that's why once again, I'm going to say, when people come from other businesses, that's just normal to follow up after. I mean, look, when you buy something on Amazon or you have all, finally I usually just cave and fill out the survey because it keeps coming. Right. So, right. So after the sale, service is very important. And I think when people come from other businesses, that some of these basic things that you're talking about are more prevalent with them. Okay, cool. All right. So you have you're talking about that. I mean, when you speak about open-ended questions, you are definitely speaking my language because I preach that to them. How much better and I'll even add one thing to it, Tom. When I ask open-ended questions and they answer me, I repeat a small part of it, and then I ask my next open-ended question. Because when you're asking open-ended questions, you want to repeat a small part so they know you're like, so you don't have any plans on moving in the near future. Great. Well, how long have you folks lived at this address, right? So then I ask my next question, and it lets them know I'm paying attention. It usually, when someone answers an open-ended question, right? I mean, you could take them in several different directions based on the answer they just gave you. So it's a perfect way to get into conversation with somebody about their favorite subject, them.
Exactly.
I love that answer.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Anything else in communication that you think, other than open-ended questions and repeating and improving, anything else you can think of?
I'm sure there are lots of things. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you're successful, just keep building on that. Just work on the things that made you successful and get rid of the things that don't seem to work. Right. I agree 100%. Speaking of that, I'm going to ask you my favorite question now is, knowing what you know now, 6.5 years into it, being very successful, if there's somebody newer on the call or even somebody trying to take their business to the next level, what would be the 3 or 4 most important pieces of advice you'd give them? Well, certainly understand the market that you're dealing in. I love that. First thing. Secondly, tell us what that means. Let's break that down. Understand the market. Like, what parts are you talking about? Well, what the inventory issues might be, what the pricing variances might be, what's important with regards to the quality of the product, and just again getting back to asking the right questions.
I love that pricing variance and understanding the market, like days on market, average list to sale price.
Right.
You know, I think all that. So how do you handle pricing right now with this somewhat off the charts, market?
Well, we have the monthly trends that come out here in the desert, and certainly in Sun City, and the as far as pricing, the here in Sun City anyhow, the average price per square foot has gone from $208 to $268 as of last month per square foot, and it's going up even more. As I said, there are 11 houses for sale out of 5,000 here in Sun City. So it's certainly a seller's market. The prices are beyond what anybody, at least in the last 6.5 years that I've been working here, ever dreamed. And as long as it's going that way, you might as well just take advantage of it, because I suspect it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, and when you started in the business, we were tailing off that the end of the where the market was had really adjusted. So you were kind of like hit the basement floor and started slowly creeping back up the stairs, to the first level, and then they went. Then the wheels just started coming off the bus. Not too long. I mean, this is pretty. I agree with you. I love this market, but it's also something that if it continues at this pace, it's going to level out eventually.
Yes.
All right. So understand the market and pricing variances and so forth. I love that explanation too. So what would be number 2 on your list?
I think it put yourself in the other person's place is important.
Empathy. Tell me a little about that. And I agree with you 100%. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
What does it mean? Well, it means figuring out what your client base is dealing with, what their issues are, if they are having problems of whether it's a down payment or whether it's selling the house that they're in so they can buy another one. Empathy, I think, would be the right term for it. Just get involved with what they're involved in.
Well, and I don't, I know, like for you, it's matter of factly empathy, but I'm saying that for a lot of agents, you really need to turn it up on that, because you need, what still surprises me, I'll be talking to people in my coaching, and I'll say, they'll give me a scenario of a seller, and I'll go, okay, so tell me where they're going. Oh, I didn't ask. How can you not know where somebody's going, and you're giving them advice and trying to help? Where are they going? How soon do they want to be there? What's the most important part about this move? What are the other? You need to. People go, well, isn't that getting nosy? No, it's called intense curiosity, I think.
So you just have to ask the right questions.
There you go, and you said it too. Open-ended questions. You have to get real inquisitive. And this is why I'm just going to say this, because I think that's why you see, that a lot of the top producers in real estate are women. I just think they do this naturally better. I had to learn to be, I don't know, did you have to learn to become more empathetic, or were you just born that way?
Well, as I said, I've spent 33 years in my own business working on one-on-one with a client base and a candidate base, I should say, and a corporate client base. And no, it's something that I guess I've just learned to absorb over that length of time, and I've been able to pass it on to this business now, and so far it's helped me.
Well, think about how serious that is. People moving jobs, their livelihood, sometimes probably even geographic moves as part of the whole situation. Right, so you need to know everything, because what happens if you make a mistake? This is people's livelihood. And that's, to me, the same thing with real estate. You have to know the whole story, because you're giving people advice and helping them move. And what if you don't know everything and you give them the wrong advice? That's why I agree with you 100%. This is a very serious business, and you need to know everything about them. Awesome.
Right, and it impacts their whole livelihood. I mean, it's a lot. It's money. It's it's where they live and what they're spending, and yeah, it's got to be the right decision for them. So they need to go into it 100% or close to 100%, knowing what they're facing.
Right, and that's one of the biggest. When I was in college and I decided to get into real estate, 36 years ago, I remember saying to myself, "This is an important job." Right. It's also, the other thing is sky's the limit if you're a hard worker, like you said. If you're working hard, you can decide what you want to make, and the sky's. But you have to be taking your clients and customers, putting their needs in front of your own.
Absolutely, no question.
Okay, so we got understand the market. Okay, we've got empathy. What would be the third thing on your list?
Understand the market, empathy.
Let me help you out. I think you already said one, which is, having a database, CRM. You have two separate ones. That's critical to your business, isn't it?
Oh, yes, no question. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I just took that for granted.
Yeah. No, I can tell that. And I think you do the same thing with empathy. To you, how could you possibly help somebody if you don't know everything about them? But I wanted them to hear, I didn't mean to pry, but I wanted them to hear what you mean by that, because to you it's just second nature. But for some of us, we need to work on it more as far as empathy and knowing everything about it. Same with the CRM. The number one thing, Tom, that I hear agents say, top producers, is if I had started my CRM, especially with our VAC 2.0 and all the tools in there, the neighborhood reports, if I would have started my CRM earlier, I'd be doing even more repeat and referral business today. Is the number one comment I get.
You're absolutely right. You're right. No question.
Yeah. So that's why I think it was so beneficial, okay, for them to hear, how you did yours.
Well, thanks.
All right, cool. All right, any other thing that you think they should know about how you do your business or what's going on with the market or anything you could enlighten them on?
Well, I think it's important to set goals on an annual basis, quarterly basis, annual basis. Compare where you are today versus where you were last year at this time, and do the analysis of what causes it. Did you do the same things, but the market just got hotter, or did you change your approach to be more responsive or more active in identifying issues or opportunities? Those are the things that. So I set goals annually. Gina sets us up every year to say, okay, what are you going to do this year versus last year, and that's one thing for sure. Yeah, because
it's kind of like a mental GPS. That's what I call it. If you don't know, well, first off, and what you just said too, Tom, about did the market just get better or did I get better? See, not a lot of agents focus on that. I'll coach agents and they'll say, I'm making more money this year. I go, yeah, but you're doing less transactions. The only reason you're making more money is because the market went up. The average sale price went up. Right? Exactly. And not a lot of them focus on that, which I think is critical. So, all right. So setting the mental GPS, setting the goals. So you do your business plan with Gina every year? That sounds like what you're doing. Yep. Okay, good. Yep. I definitely talk about that in Success Series. All right. Awesome. Anything else you want to go? I think, understand the market. Work on your empathy, and a lot of that is open-ended questions. Have an organized CRM. I'd recommend you use the VAC 2.0, and then make sure you set your goals. Do you review your quarterly goals too? Do you go over them?
Oh, yeah. I do, just myself. Not with Gina or anybody, but I set some pretty, I won't say difficult standards, but certainly something that I hope are achievable from quarter to quarter. And so far, it's been pretty good this year, so I'm on track.
You're on track to reach your ultimate goal. And what is your ultimate goal for 2021?
Well, definitely just surpass the last year's production and commission levels. So far, so good, but got a half a year to go.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, you got 7 months. Well, actually 6 months and 3 weeks.
Well, I'm going to take a vacation, so I just said a half a year.
Oh, now when you set your goal, do you have a percentage? Like, I want to surpass last year by this percentage?
Well, in terms of percentage, usually it's in volume, like 3 million to 4 million to 6 million to whatever the number is.
Okay.
In this case, my goal is somewhere in the 4 to 5 million range. So
nice,
and that's good enough for me. For my needs.
Great. That's perfect. That's a good number. That's a great number. All right, Tom. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for taking your time out today. Thank you, Gina.
Well, my
for
pleasure.
recommending
Thank you
him.
for including me.
All right, my man. You keep it rocking. And anything I can do to help, call me anytime. Everybody else will do this again in a week. Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate it
Tom.
very much.
Appreciate
Enjoying your book, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right. Talk with you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You bet.